The decision to make this video came as a massive surprise even to me because I had never even heard of this game until an hour or so before I was already writing a script for it. While scrolling Twitter, as one does, I came across a post from Alpha Beta Gamer showing off footage of an Arkham-style combat game with an emphasis on martial arts combat and saw there was a demo of that game readily available to download for free on Steam. On top of that, when I looked into the game, I saw it was claiming both Sleeping Dogs and The Raid Redemption as two of its major inspirations. For those who don't know, both The Raid and Sleeping Dogs are two of my favorite properties I've ever experienced, not to mention my adoration of the Batman Arkham games. So I think you can guess that I immediately went to the game's Steam page and started downloading the demo. The name of the game is Acts of Blood, and it's being developed and published by Exel Team, who I think might actually be just one person, surprisingly. I was not contacted to make this video, nor do I think Exel Team is even aware of my existence, but I felt compelled to make it because I need this game to be made. So if you are as disillusioned with the modern gaming industry as I have been lately, I'd encourage you to throw your support behind this game, download the demo, and go wishlist it as soon as you can. So let me tell you a little bit about why I think this game needs to be made. First off, the combat is amazing. Within only a couple of minutes of getting into the game, I was already having so much fun. It all came back so naturally because I've always played so many games with this style of combat. It's nothing new. You've probably seen this before. But honestly, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And something this game offers that a lot of games with this style of combat don't is the visceral brutality of the way the combat works. The combos are very satisfying, and they always tend to evoke that indie martial arts movie magic that we've seen before. And the animations are surprisingly super good for such an early build of the game. And I was having such a blast with the way the combat works here. Not to mention that the inclusion of weapons are a great addition. You have all kinds of different things that you can use against your enemies, like kicking boxes or picking up pipes, fire axes, or baseball bats. There's even a few bladed weapons like knives or machetes that add to the brutality of the game's combat. Playing through this really did remind me of Sleeping Dogs from back in the day, and that is one of my favorite games of all time. I've played through it multiple times, and I frequently cite it as my favorite open world game of all time. There's only one level in the demo, but it's so good you'll probably end up playing through it more than once. It's such a good time. Before you go to this mission, and I suspect in between every mission in the game whenever it's released, you visit this kind of hub in the form of your character's apartment, which I think is really cool because you can go in and change your outfits. You can customize your headwear, jackets, shirts, pants, boots, and even gloves. The selection is a little limited right now, but I suspect for the final game we're going to have a much larger selection to make all kinds of really fun and interesting outfits to play through the game with. Now, I think it's obvious just from looking at this footage that this is not an open world game like the Arkham games or Sleeping Dogs, but I do really like the idea of a level by level kind of game where you can just revisit your apartment, change outfits, and things like that. In some cases, especially with indie games, open world probably isn't the best idea, and just keeping it to a linear level by level allows for a lot more polish to be integrated into the design. And I think it shows here because the level design of this first mission is really good. The way it guides you through this kind of factory setting up and down stairs through buildings, and the utilization of red lights as a way of guiding the player is super good, and it's a much better alternative to yellow paint. And again, for an indie game, this looks great. If this actually is just one person making it, they have so much of my respect because this looks AA easily. In between the combat arenas, which is admittedly the main draw of the game, there is a little bit of movement mechanics that we can play with to get from place to place. I feel like with some really good level design and some polish and improvements to the way it feels to actually do these vaults and climb these ledges and whatnot, could actually really make a fun experience of traversing a level in between combat arenas, but that remains to be seen. It does kind of highlight an issue with the demo, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but the game is very janky, which is to be expected. Like, playing this feels like Sleeping Dogs in concept, but not quite in execution. You're really not going to find the precise timing and polish of something like one of the Batman Arkham games. This is very much an alpha build, and it has a lot of work still to go, so it is kind of janky and feels a little strange to play sometimes. In my roughly 1 hour of playtime with it, there were numerous occasions where an animation just didn't connect, but the character still got executed, along with plenty of other issues like missing blood spatters, the character models not lining up correctly, and all kinds of other different various animation issues. But even with that said, the combat is still really fun, but still not varied enough to carry the game, and it needs one one or two additional mechanics to really help make it feel complete. If the full game's combat felt exactly as it does, I'd still be fine with it, but I do hope they add something like a grab mechanic or something other than just counterattack and mixing up a heavy and light attack. I do like the little rage mode thing, and the execution animations are obviously one of the coolest things in the game, but there just needs to be a little bit more added before the final release. Not to mention, I ran into one glitch where I literally could not progress to the boss battle. The game just kind of made me restart the level, which is fine. Again, it's an alpha build, but still, things like this need to be polished out. It's clearly still in the very early stages of development, but this actually has more potential than most indie demos I've ever seen. Out of any indie title I've wanted to see get made before, this one is probably the one I want the most. And if you play the first level and really enjoy the combat, then there is an arena mode to just let you go nuts. It's kind of bare bones and minimalistic, but it's still a lot of fun. I spent probably 10 or 15 minutes just messing around in this arena mode. I loved this. I could actually even see this very satisfying arena mode ending up being a major selling point if it had a couple of maps and a little bit of a more dynamic combat system. Speaking of dynamic, the music in this game is fantastic as well, and also dynamic. The intensity of the music seems to go along with how intense the combat is, and I love it when games do this. That being said, I know metal music isn't really everyone's cup of tea, but it just goes so well with this game for some reason. Here, let me just play a couple of seconds of unedited gameplay from the arena mode. See what I mean? It's just so cool. I really hope the developer gets the support they need to finish this title, and I personally cannot wait to buy it. On top of everything else, the story does seem pretty cool, if albeit a little bit simple. It's just a revenge plot. It's nothing we haven't seen before, but I think it fits really well. A typical revenge plot like this is more than cool enough to maximize that hardcore indie martial arts movie feel I think this is really going for. The music from that gameplay footage and the music you've been hearing throughout this video are actually from the game, and you can go search it on YouTube right now. There's multiple tracks already out. Just go YouTube search Acts of Blood OST and you'll find a few songs from the game. They're composed by a number of artists, namely Entropy Zero, Cliff Lynn, and Oleg Notoris. So if you're into this kind of music, you're definitely going to want to go check those out and maybe add them to a playlist or something. I went and scouted out the developer's YouTube page to see if there's anything else I can find about the game, and I did locate some test footage to see that he is obviously intending to have platforming and moving through the environment be a much larger part of the main game. We can see here some animation tests of the character running and jumping over ledges, vaulting, and a bunch of different cool animations that I'm pretty excited to see him implement into the level design of the rest of the missions. Another mechanic I forgot to mention because it plays such a minimal role in the actual demo is the gunplay. It's barely even present in the demo, and there's only 2 or 3 different guns we can actually find, but the fact that there is a mechanic to allow us to pick up and use firearms against the enemies is a very cool addition, and even though it doesn't feel super good to use, I can't wait to see how the developer polishes this up and implements it into the main game. I'm gonna be honest here, between the Arkham-style beat-em-up gameplay, the parkour-style environmental navigation, and the firearm mechanic, I kind of feel like this is the most exciting indie game I've ever personally seen. It's dark, it's edgy, it's gritty, it's intense, it's really fun and satisfying to play, and This is the first time I've actually ever been this excited for an indie game before. So if anything I've said interests you, please go wishlist this game on Steam. I really hope this developer gets the support he needs to keep pushing for a full release, because I want to play this game. Anyways, thanks so much for watching, everybody. I know this is kind of an impromptu video, but I was just loving playing this so much. I felt like I had to talk about it and show it off for you guys. Not to mention, I want to give as much exposure to this demo as possible because I want to play this game. If you enjoyed the video, I'd ask that you give it a like and also leave a comment telling me what you think of the game and the footage you've seen. If you enjoy seeing coverage of old games or interesting indie games like this, subscribe to the channel because I'm always putting something like this out. Members of the channel, of course, get exclusive content like early access to videos, member-only videos, and hundreds of hours of live streams just to hang out and watch. So if you're a fan of the content and you really want to help support my channel, consider becoming a member. Anyways, thanks so much for watching, everybody, and I can't wait to see you in the next video, but until then, that's all I've got for you.